Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Kay, and I'm going to be doing the BookTube Newbie tag. Just a heads up, I'm not going to answer all of the questions that are associated with this tag. There were a couple that I didn't have any real answers for, and then a couple that kind of had the same answers, so I'm just going to combine those into one and save us all some time. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? And I've been watching YouTube for 2 or 3 years now, and I was finding it a little difficult to find channels that I really like the content of as far as reading taste and genre and things like that. And then of those channels that I was finding, it was like, okay, I'm not necessarily seeing all the books that I really like. So it made sense to me to just start my own channel and create the content that I enjoy, that I want to see, with the books that I really love. The next question is, what are you most excited for in starting this channel? And I'm definitely really looking forward to meeting people and kind of creating relationships and things like that based around books. I don't know a lot of people that read, and I really don't know anybody who reads the same kind of books that I do. So whenever I come across a really good book or a really bad book, I don't really have anybody to talk to about it, which can be kind of depressing when the favorite thing that you love, you don't really have anybody to share it with. So I'm definitely looking forward to becoming part of the community here on BookTube and getting to know everybody. Next question is, why do you love reading? And that's a pretty easy answer. I really love storytelling. I like getting to know characters and getting into their heads, experiencing the world through other people's perspective, experiencing new worlds, things like that. What book or series got you into reading? And this is a pretty common answer, I feel like, for anybody in my generation, but that would definitely be Harry Potter. Specifically Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. My mom bought it for me when I was 10. I was in the 4th grade, and she brought it home and gave it to me, and I devoured it. And it was the first time that I'd fallen in love with the world and wanted to go back and experience it again. So imagine how thrilled I was when there were 7 books that carried me most of the way through school. But that was definitely for me the very first time that I had ever fallen in love with characters and fallen in love with the world. We're going to skip the next question and go straight into what are the challenges from starting a channel that you think will be the hardest to overcome. And that's definitely going to be, one, getting comfortable in front of the camera, which hopefully will come with time. The more I do it, the more comfortable and laid back I can be. And then also kind of just staying consistent and keeping that kind of fire going of enjoying it and doing it. I have a very bad habit of getting into something, getting really into it, but then getting bored with it and just kind of tossing it aside and moving on to the next thing rather quickly. So hopefully in 2 or 3 years I will still be here and still be making videos. The next question is, when did you start reading? So I started reading pretty much as soon as I learned how to read, so like 1st, 2nd grade. When I first started out, it was mostly just about reading as many books as I could, reading the hardest books, being the best reader in my class. We'd go to the library once a week for school, to the school library. I'd check out a bunch of books. I'd check out the hardest books they had. My mom would take me and my sisters to our public library, and I distinctly remember checking out ridiculously large stacks of books. There's no way I could read all of those, but I still insisted on checking them all out. It didn't really matter what the book was about. I would still read it. And then it wasn't until I got to about 10 years old with Harry Potter that I figured out that, oh, I actually enjoy certain genres or certain types of books more than others. And so kind of the motivation behind reading changed, but I still remained an avid reader and kind of read whatever I could find. So the next question is, where do you read? And I read pretty much everywhere. I always take a book with me when I leave the house. If I'm at all close to finishing the book, I'll take a second one just in case. And I read whenever I can find like a spare 5 minutes. I read at work. I'll read if I'm stopped by a train in the car. I take a book with me every time I go to the theater because I tend to get there a little bit early, and then I will read until the previews start, until they turn out the lights, and I have no choice but to actually pay attention. So I read out and about whenever I can. Noise doesn't really bother me. I can tune it all out and focus on my book, so that's not an issue. And then at home, mostly I read in bed because I read right before I go to sleep. But obviously then I'll read on the couch, or I'll lay on the floor and read, or whatever. But I don't really have a specific favorite place to read. It's kind of just wherever I'm at with whatever time I have. The last question is, what kind of books do you like to read? So I read almost exclusively adult fantasy. I read some sci-fi, which I am trying to get more into and find more books that I enjoy. So far there's only a couple of authors that I really read out of sci-fi. I read an occasional, very occasional YA book, usually in fantasy or sci-fi, but I don't tend to like them. I kind of outgrew them. I read them a lot when I was in high school. Even first starting college, I would read a lot of them, but now it's almost exclusively adult fiction. And I will read like a historical fiction or a thriller or murder mystery, something like that, but those are not my go-to picks. I read a lot of fantasy. So that's all the questions for today. Thanks for sticking around. Like, subscribe down below if you want, and I hope to see you guys next time.